Overwatch has one of the best rosters of characters when it comes to multiplayer shooters. It's one of the reasons why it is so beloved worldwide. Not only do they offer a wide scope of game mechanics and playstyles, but each character has developed and intricate backstories. Some of them are also pretty scary too, for being honest. So today we're counting down the top 10 scary Overwatch characters. We'll be looking at characters who are not only physically and aesthetically imposing, but ones who have a terrifying backstory, or ones that give you the heebie-jeebies when you realize you're going up against them in a match. So with that in mind, let's get to it. In at 10, JUNKRAT. JUNKRAT is an anarchist, a thief, and a demolitionist who is obsessed with explosives and lives to cause chaos and destruction. He was a member of the Junkers, a group of those who survived the attack on Australia's Omnium fusion core that altered the Outback's landscape into a harsh, irradiated wasteland. Affected by the lingering radiation, he lived alongside cutthroats in his lawless society, and he's gone slightly mad, which really only helps him with his explosive obsession and handling the deadly weapons. He left the Outback, teaming up with ROADHOG as his personal bodyguard, going on an international crime spree. So all in all, if JUNKRAT were a character you came face to face with in real life, he would probably scare you senseless. Plus, in the game itself, if you run into someone who knows how to play JUNKRAT really well, you know you're gonna get crapped on. That's for sure. In at 9, Mei. Out of all of the characters on our list, Mei is arguably the least physically terrifying. But it is her abilities that sometimes have Overwatch players shaking in their boots. For starters, let's talk about her story. Mel is an adventurer and a climatologist, the scientist who has taken the fight to preserve the environment into her own hands. After being stranded at Watchpoint Antarctica, Mei, along with her fellow scientists, went to cryostasis. And years later, when they were rescued, it was revealed that she was the only survivor. While that is a saddening backstory, it's definitely nothing that makes her scary. But to some, when they cross paths with her, it's a whole other story. Coming across Mei in a situation where you're going up against her solo can be nerve-wracking at best, because she's gonna wreck you, my friends. After she freezes you, of course. In at number 8, TORBJORN. TORBJORN is another character who isn't aesthetically spooky, although you could argue that his persona is physically intimidating. Personally though, I think he just looks like a really dope Gimli-esque adorable dwarf, but that is just me. Anywho, he's an ingenious engineer from Sweden with a deep mistrust of sentient robotic intelligence, to the point where he's mildly paranoid. But hey, his fears were proven right during the Omnic crisis, and feeling responsible for his creations, he went around the globe determined to stop them from falling into the wrong hands. But let's talk about why he's scary in the game, in the sense that players might feel uneasy when they realize he's on the opposing team. I mean, it could be because he is at crotch level. Maybe that just makes some people feel, I guess, a little freaked out and sensitive, but others would argue that TORBJORN isn't necessarily scary, rather frustrating though, to go up against. If you find yourself 1v1ing, his turret can leave you in a really weak and vulnerable position, but that often tends to be a rare case. In at 7, Ana. To be fair, if you saw Ana walking down the street with that badass biotic rifle of hers, that eerie dark outfit, and that sinister looking eye patch, you would probably cross the road in trepidation. She is a 60-year-old bounty hunter hailing from Egypt. She is a superior marksman, and she's considered to be one of the world's best elite snipers. But let's focus about what she's like in the game. Flanking her can be incredibly dangerous if you're not approaching her from the side or behind. Her bullets kill friendlies if they get in the way of her shots, but they hurt enemies, and really, the implication of that is kind of scary. What defines friend and what defines foe? And at 6, MOIRA. MOIRA may not be a character that freaks some people out when they see her on the battlefield, but it is her backstory that makes her feel super uneasy. A controversial geneticist, her work was criticized for being dangerous thanks to ethical shortfalls. She has the kind of drive that many believe caused the Omnic crisis in the first place. She is capable of sucking the life force out of foes like some sort of demon. This can heal allies while decaying foes. It's actually a trick that she previously practiced on rabbits. She believes that she does not take the cautions others do, and she would later turn her back on Overwatch, exploring scientific areas forbidden by law and morality. And at 5, WIDOWMAKER. WIDOWMAKER is arguably one of the sexier characters in the game, but she's deadly as which is why she lands on our list. Described as the perfect assassin, she is a ruthless killer who was kidnapped by the Talon terrorist organization, who subjected her to cruel and intense neural reconditioning, breaking her will and suppressing her personality. She became a sleeper agent and killed her husband in his sleep. Her former self is now gone, numbed of the ability to experience human emotion. If that wasn't eerie enough, her Widow's Kiss ability leaves players shaking in their boots. Just knowing that her infrasight ability also allows her to see the heat signatures of her targets just means that players are on edge every time they come come up against her, anxiously anticipating a strike when they least expect it, if whoever is playing her is really good. Moving on to number 4, SYMMETRA. SYMMETRA may not be aesthetically scary like whatsoever, nor does she have a particularly terrifying origin story, but she is a character who freaks out a lot of players when they realize that she's on the opposing team. Getting close to SYMMETRA can be a nightmare, especially if you're playing as Mercy or Winston. The pressure to finish SYMMETRA off as well can leave some players borderline panicking. If she locks onto you, she can run right through your entire team and kick some major butts. She's got a whole lot of DPS and without having to aim, making her a major challenge. In addition to that, her ultimate can reinforce her entire team, making her overall match super hard, and the rest of the team difficult to wipe out. In at 3, Sigma. Sigma made some major waves recently with his character introduction video, which skyrocketed to the trending page on YouTube when it was released. And needless to say, it was scary AF. Sigma is a brilliant astrophysicist who was altered forever when one of his experiments went horribly wrong. Triggering the formation of a black hole, he was exposed to its power, suffering major serious psychological damage. He would be detained for years thanks to this, with the government hiding him in a secret facility, fearing that his psychic damage and gravity anomalies occurring around him would be unsafe for others. Solitary confinement definitely didn't help much mentally, but he did gain control of his powers. Needless to say, his origin video was scary as hell. Plus, people are kinda triggered by his bare feet, which is kind of hilarious. And at number 2, ROADHOG. ROADHOG is a character who is equally terrifying both in and out of matches. Let's start by talking about his backstory first. He's a 48-year-old ruthless killer who lost his home after the Omnic Crisis. This upset turned into a violent rebellion, which would later cause the Omnium fusion core to explode and irradiate the Outback, turning it into an apocalyptic wasteland. It not only changed his home forever, but it changed him forever, twisting him, slowly eliminating his humanity for good. Now ROADHOG is a character whose presence forces you to change your approach, and requires a whole lot of effort to take down. He's also a character that many players feel they can't make a mistake against without suffering some major game-ending consequences. Of course, like many of the other characters on our list, it all depends on the map and character that you are playing as. As one user on the Overwatch community forums put it though, playing as Mercy against ROADHOG is like literally walking into a survival horror game. And finally, last but not least, in at 1, Reaper. While Reaper may not be as difficult to go up against, like ROADHOG, he is by far the most sinister looking character in the game, hence why he tops our list. Reaper is a pretty mysterious fellow. That's putting it lightly. He's a black rope terrorist whose identity and motives are unknown, loyal to no one but himself, haunting his foes who have described him as a black shadow moving unscathed through the most hellish of battlefields. Extremely volatile and ruthless, he is a remorseless killer, responsible for terrorist attacks globally. His recovered victims are terrifying to say the least. Their corpses are pale, their cells depicting signs of intense degradation. Rumor has it that the Reaper is a byproduct of a failed genetic alteration which forces his cells to constantly decay and regenerate at hyper-accelerated rates. And if that isn't scary as I don't know what is. Alright, there we have it friends. What other characters in Overwatch do you think are scary? Let us know in those comments below. If you dug this video, spread the love, hit that like button, and be sure to subscribe to Top 10 Gaming for more lists just like this. In the meantime, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.